thing. So you write Anaconda. So you will find this particular anaconda.com, where you will find this individual edition of Anaconda. So go to that, and there you will find one option of download. So click on it, and then you will get the option for Windows or Mac or Linux. According to your system, you can download, and after that you have to install it. Okay, so here you can see that whether it is a 64-bit or a 34-bit, according to your system, you just install it in your system. Okay, so this is the thing. I am not going into the detail of that. The installation is not difficult like other softwares. So very simple. Just click on it, it will download, and after that you just install. Okay, so this is one part, how to install Anaconda. And when you install Anaconda, the installation, when it will complete, what you have to do is that from the start menu, if you write Anaconda, in my system already it is there, you will find that Anaconda Navigator is there. So just click on this Anaconda Navigator. After installation process of the Anaconda in a separate window, and after the completion of the installation, you will find this kind of a user interface. This kind of an interface you will get. This is the Anaconda Navigator interface, and you can see there are different types of IDs that you can use. Okay, so here you can see the Spider is one of the ID, Jupyter Notebook is one of the ID, PyCharm is one of the ID. So these are the popular IDs on which you can write your Python code. Okay, so for the demonstration purpose, I will prefer in Jupyter Notebook. So in Jupyter Notebook, if you want to write your Python code and execute it, you just simply click on the Launch Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so click on Launch Jupyter browser, either Firefox or whatever is there in your system. This will open in a particular web browser that you remember. Okay, and to start a new Python file, what you have to do, here you see that new is there. So you have to click on new, and if you click on Python 3, then a new Jupyter Notebook will open. Or you can also select in other folders, like in desktop, if you want to save that. So you can select that root directory as desktop, and after that you click on this new file. So like suppose I want to save it in a my document, so click on my document, and then you see that your different files in the my document, and after that you go to that new, and there you click on Python 3. If you click on that, you will find this kind of an interface. Okay, so this is what is the interface where you have to write your code. That means go to any one of the browser and write Colab. You will find that the first option that is coming is the Google Colab. Click on it. Write Google Colab and click on it. Okay, then you see that you will find there is one option, and that is written new notebook, or it may ask you to sign in your account. So if that option is coming, then sign in your Google account, and after that you will find this kind of an interface, and then click on new notebook at the bottom here. So click on new notebook.
Can you please repeat your Colab portion?
So just write Colab in the Google search. You will get one option. The first option you will get the Google Colab option, and then you click on that Google Colab, you will get this particular option, that interface where you will find that new notebook. Click on new notebook. That's all. After that, everyone will get this kind of an interface. So if any one of you finding any problem up to this much, then please tell me. So I think everyone is getting this kind of an interface.
न्यू नोटबुक करने के बाद सर ये ऑप्शन नहीं आ रहा है.
What?
न्यू नोटबुक करने के ऑप्शन पे क्लिक करने के बाद
What is coming?
वो पेज नहीं आ रहा.
No, what is coming?
और
Then?
ही आ रहा है सर.
No, what is coming?
What is
After clicking on
collaboratory? This type of thing.
what?
What is collaboratory is coming, sir.
Okay, so in
Get
that
it.
case, you will okay. In that page, you will get one option, that file. Are you getting that? One option, file. Shubhash is mute.
Yes,
Have you got that option, file?
yes, sir.
In that, click on the file, and then you will get another option, new. Then click on new. Go to the
New,
file
new.
and click on new. Then you will get this interface.
Okay, sir.
Now it's okay, Aditya?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay. Any problem?
Not yet.
Okay.
It appears to be okay.
Okay. So if any one of you are not getting this particular interface, please report me. Otherwise, I will assume that everyone is at this page, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that
এখানে
means
সাইন ইনটা কি পার্সোনাল মেল আইডি দিয়ে করতে হবে না কলেজ মেল আইডি?
that is your choice.
College mail.
That is your choice. But I will prefer, if you use the college mail ID, you will get the infinite space. If you use your personal mail ID, then you will get only 15 GB. That is the only thing, only difference. Okay.
ওকে স্যার।
Okay. So I will prefer you do it by the college mail ID because you have joined probably in this Google meeting through college mail ID. So that will be better. So now this particular interface is exactly similar of Jupyter Notebook in Anaconda Navigator that you have seen. This is exactly similar to the Jupyter Notebook. Basically, this is the Jupyter Notebook in the Google Cloud. Basically, you need not to install anything in your local machine. Everything will be allotted to you and you can work over here. Okay. So basically, some space, some memory that will be allotted to you from the Google. And here we are going to write the code, everything, both the machine learning and the deep learning, everything we are going to write here. If you go to your Google Drive, you will find that there is one new folder that has already been created called Colab Network Notebooks. Okay, so new folder automatically will be created, Colab Notebooks. Okay, so what you do that that will be there, and you create another new folder in the My Drive. My Drive, you know how to create a new folder. Just click on new and click on new folder. Then you will be able to create a new folder. Like if you create this and then click on the folder, then you will be able to create a new folder and name that folder in the My Drive as data science. I have given one folder named data science. You also do the same thing. So I'm giving you some time. You do it. So after creating that data science folder, go into it and there you create another folder. There you create another folder called CSVS. Within data science folder, create another folder named CSV small s. You know that CSV is the extension. Like it is like Excel file, comma separated variables, basically CSV. So CSV, just give the name, because within that folder we are going to store some CSV file later in this course. Okay, just go to that particular page where you have created that Colab initial Jupyter notebook. You have just opened a new notebook and you see there it has been written untitled. You will find it is written as untitled. So click on it and just change the name. Click on it and change the name. It will change the name. Like I have given the name Python Basics. So write Python Basics, and by default it will take the extension IPYNB. Okay, so IPython notebook basically. So you have opened one Colab file and you renamed that file. I think up to this much it is clear. How to rename the file, that is clear. So you have given a name Python Basics, and after that you give one underscore and give your roll number, maybe the last maybe your class roll number or something, underscore your class roll number.
After the Python basics, right?
After Python Basics, give underscore and your class roll number. So that is going to be your file name where you are going to do some classwork. Okay. So now quickly, let us see the different things. So let us start with this particular code. Suppose you want to print hello world. If you want to print hello world, this particular string, then how can you do it in Python? It's a very simple. You can see, you just write print and then within parentheses give inverted comma and write hello world. Okay, so here you see there are two options. One is plus code and here is plus text. Plus code and plus text. Plus code means if you click on plus code, then a cell will come where you can write your code. And if you click on plus text, then a cell will come where you can write some text like information. Okay, so here we want to write a code in the cell, so that is why we first click on plus code. Okay, so I'm showing you, like you click on this plus code, you see that this kind of a cell will open, and here you write hello world like this. Okay, so print hello world, and now to execute this line of code, what you have to do, just click on this. This is, you will find that run cell, or you can write control enter, I will get the same thing. So if I click it, you see that you can execute this line of code and it is showing the output as hello world. So I think this first line of code everyone have written and you can see your output. কারো কনফিউশন আছে তো জিজ্ঞেস করো আমাকে। সবার হয়েছে এটা?
Yes, sir.
Those who are doing it in mobile, is it working? Anyone?
Sir, run করেনি।
Yes, sir.
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে হয়েছে।
Okay. So now, next what we'll start our course, like we'll first see that what is the variable. You know what is variable? This is basically the temporary storage of data, and how to use variable already you know, but what is the syntax that is used for Python? Let us see that. To write any text, what you have to do, just enter plus text. Okay, enter plus text, then you will see that below that particular cell another cell will come where you can write any text command. Okay, for your future reference, this kind of text will help you to understand the code. And there you can write, like here I have written Python variables temporary storage data. To make it bold or size larger or smaller, you can use, there are different techniques here. You can see, if you just double click here, you'll see that you can either make it large or you can make it bold or other kind of formatting you can do. Okay. Okay, so let us start with Python variables. So let us consider we want to make a variable student. Student is a variable name. Instead of student, you can write your own name as a variable, or you can write A, B, C, X, Y, anything you can write as a variable name. And that variable name is equal to, you see, I have written a text that is sham, and I have written it within inverted comma. Now that inverted comma either can be in a single quote or it can be in a double quote. Okay, so you can use both. There is no problem in writing string. You can use both single quote or a double quote. Then what will happen within that variable student, this sham, this particular string will be assigned. Okay, so now the student variable will contain this sham. Now if you want to see that what is there within the student, just you write student, and if you execute it, you will find that this student, if I execute it, we'll see that student is showing sham. That means the student is assigned the string that is sham. Any confusion? Clear that how you assign? This is very simple. There is no syntax at the end of the line of code and all that. So very, very simple. Any query? Okay, so that means it's working fine to everyone. So here I have given one example for this string. You can also assign some integer or some float, because you know that there are different kinds of data types. So what are the different kinds of data types present in Python? So the different kinds of data types that is present in Python, it can be integer, like I have given one variable name x1 and I have assigned an integer into this variable. So x1 is equal to 10. So now x1 contain this variable, this integer 10. Similarly, in x2, I have given another variable name x2, where I have assigned another float type data, which is 5.6. You can understand the difference between the integer and the float. Okay, so floats are basically the real numbers. So 5.6. So x2 is equal to 5.6 is the float with the decimals basically. Now it can be the data type other than integer and float. It can be Boolean data type. Boolean data type means it can be either true or false. So remember, this true and false, these are the special kind of character. So you cannot give name of a variable as true, because true is a particular keyword used in Python. Okay, so that is why here you see you have given a name student and where you have assigned sham, but you can't give any variable name like true. True is, since it is a particular keyword used in Python, you cannot give the name of a variable as true in the like capital TRUE. In that way you cannot write, because this is a special word. So this is a particular true false. These are basically the Boolean kind of a data type. So x3 is that. x4, here you can see it's a string data type, or it can be a complex data type like 3 plus 4j. Here this 4j means it is the imaginary part of this complex number. Okay, so j is basically root over -1. Okay, so this is these are basically the different kinds of data type how we can assign into a variable. That is very, very simple, you can understand. Now if you want to see what is the data type of a particular variable, then what you do, you simply just simply write type, and within that if you write say x2, Now you see that if I want to know this variable x2 is what is the data type, then you just write type and within parentheses you write x2. And if you execute this, you will find that x2 is what? X2 is a float. So it will give you that it's a float type. So here you can see it is giving you that it is a float. Clear? So to know what is the data type of a particular variable, the command is type and within bracket you write the variable. Okay. So exactly in a similar way you can check the other data type also. And here you see I have used this hash command. This hash command is basically the comment line. If you want to make a line of code as a comment line, that means you do not want to execute this line, then you just put a hash at before, then that particular line is not going to execute. Okay. Any query up to this much? Okay. Now coming to the operators that is used in Python. So I think this much is clear to everyone. Okay. Now operations in Python. The operations like plus, minus, multiplication, division, these are the common operations. Suppose you want to know what is the remainder. What is the operation for the remainder? Remainder, it is the percentage sign. Okay. Yes, percentage. That is the modulus.
Data types in Python এর নিচের একবার কমেন্ট সেকশনটা একবার দেখাবেন, যেটা এই হ্যাশ দিয়ে লিখেছেন।
If you want to make a particular line, suppose you do not want to execute this line x3, I do not want to assign x3 as true, then what I do, I'll simply put a hash in before and you'll see that this particular line is not going to execute. Okay, so now if you write, you see that if you write type x3, what you are expecting, you will find that x3 is not yet defined. Okay, so x3 is not going to give you any result. Okay, so this is what is the meaning of how to make a line.
Sir, I have written type x2 because the comment part I have written as it is not gonna matter what I write because it's not gonna take.
Yes.
So I write up to x2 and lastly I've written type x2 and it's not showing float, it's showing str.
What?
It's not showing float, it's showing str.
In x2, which variable you have assigned in x2?
5.6.
In x2, if you assign 5.6 and after that what you have done, you have written a type x2.
x3 true, x2 ram, and x equal to 3 plus 4j. Then hashtag, as it's not gonna matter, I have not written it completely. Then after that I have written type.
No. I think you made some mistake because you can see that if we write x2 is equal to 5.6 and type x2, if you just write these two set of lines, x2 is equal to 5.6 and type x2, then you will find that it will come float. I think some mistake you have made. Okay, so you please check that what mistake you have. Okay, so now coming to the operators in Python, here you see that there are different kinds of operators, and one of the very important operator like modulus operator, that is percentage, symbolized as percentage. Okay, let me show you what is that operator. This operator. Okay, this is used to find out what is the remainder. Okay, if you divide, then what will be the remainder? So if I write 10%6, if I write 10%6, it will give output as 4. Okay, so you can understand. Let me add one code line. I'm showing you, like suppose x, I am assigning one variable x and that is equal to say 10%6. Okay, so now if you want to see what is this x, then you see that x is 4. Okay, so that means you are basically dividing 10 by 6 and it will return the remainder. Okay, so that is also modulus function, that is also very important operator. Okay, now relation operator also, that less than, greater than, for the relation operator to check some condition, remember the equality check, the relation operator is double equal to that you have to give. Okay, suppose you want to check whether A equal to B or not, so in that case you have to write A equal to B, okay, under if else statement. So that is the relation operator, and only is equal to is basically the assignment operator. That means you are assigning a number to a variable, and this one is the relation operator. Similarly, not equal to, you see the exclamation symbol and then equal to, this is what is the not equal to. Okay, so these are the common relation operator and the arithmetic operators. I think these are very familiar to you. And one of the code here you can see a very simple one, like you have assigned 10 and 20 in variables A and B respectively, and suppose you want to find out their sum, so you just write C is equal to A plus B. Okay, so now if you want to see that what is the value that is there within C, then you just simply you can write C, or you can also print C. So that is your choice. So if you write C, you see that it is 30. Okay. So up to this much, I think there should not be any problem. You just check these things. These are very simple. Next, we'll go to the logical operator. Okay. So here something is implied in the relation operator, like here we have given A is equal to 10 and B is equal to 20. So that means this is already there. Since we have executed this lines, that means this A and B are now containing 10 and 20. So now if I want to check whether A greater than B or not, okay, so if I write A greater than B, this much of code is sufficient to return a Boolean expression. That means whether this is true or false, it will return true or false. Okay, so A greater than B, in our case, A greater than B is a false because we have assigned 10 in A and 20 in B. So if you execute now this particular line, you see that it is giving false. Okay, so you can understand that it is so easy in writing. The syntax is so simple. Okay. Now logical operators like AND and OR, this is the ampersand symbol is AND, and this one is for the OR. These are the symbols which are used, and in due course we'll see some of the examples. You have some idea about the AND and OR. That means if there are two sets, and by AND means this is basically the intersection which is common to both, right? And OR means either A or B, any one of them. If that is there, then it is true or false. So I'm not going to give you all these examples right now. It will may confuse you. So, but we'll give you good examples later on. Maybe in your exercise also, I will get this kind of operator. Now coming to the strings. Strings we have already seen. Either you can write within single quote or you can write it in double quote. And when it is important to write in a single quote or a double quote, let me show you. Here you see that string 1, I have given a variable named string 1, and within that I have assigned hello world, this string, and I have written this string within double quote. I can also write the same thing within a single quote also, that you can see in the second string, string 2, I have assigned this is a beautiful picture, where it is in a single quote. Okay, so either you can use double quote or a single quote, but suppose the line is such that within that within a particular word some apostrophe s is there. Okay, so in that case what will happen, it will be confused if you try to give the single quote. Okay, so in that case definitely you have to give the double quote. Okay, so that you have to just remember. Next, you see in a string 3, suppose you want to write a string which containing multiple lines, different lines. Okay, not a particular sentence, maybe multiple sentences at different lines. So maybe a paragraph. Okay. So in that case, instead of a single quote or double quote, you have to use the triple quote. Okay. So it will start with the triple quote, end with the triple quote. So string can be written, assigned in these three ways. Clear? Any doubt?
স্যার একবার রিপিট করবেন কি বললেন?
Now you have understood that how to assign a string, right? To assign a string, you know that you have to give a quote, inverted comma. Within inverted comma, you have to write that particular text, right? That is how the string is assigned, and that can be either single quote or double quote generally. Okay, when we generally use double quote, when it is difficult to suppose there is something written it's. Okay, let us consider something is there. Like this, it's. Suppose you want to write it's, then what will happen? The problem is that this particular, it will, Python will understand that this is the end of this inverted comma. So that is why in that case, the single quote will not work. In that case, you have to put the double quote. So in that case, if you put the double quote, then there will be no problem. Clear?
I have a question.
Yes.
Sir, in this example, we see that there is str1 is equal to hello world,
Yes.
and there is str2, which also has some values, but I can't see now, sir. Sir, if I just say that str equal to 1 equal to hello world, and in this another name, if I store another value, so that str value will be changed.
In string 1, you have given one value. Yes. Then in string 2, you give
Sir,
the
in-
same.
No, sir, in string
Instead
one-
of str2, if you write str1 again. So this is your question.
Yes, now the value will be changed, right?
Yes. Yes. So last assigned value, it will take the last assigned value. Okay.
Okay.
It will take the last assigned value. Okay. So if you now just check the same thing, you'll see if you write string 1, it will give you, it's a beautiful picture. Clear, Ayush?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. And remember, for multiple number of lines to assign, you have to give the triple quote. Okay. Next, after string, how to extract characters from the string. Okay. How to extract characters from the string. So that is very, very important. Let us consider there is a string 4, and in string 4, we have assigned this particular line, say Aman is a good boy. Okay. So if you want to extract A, that means basically the first character A, then basically you have to, you can extract this through index. So what is the index of the first character? So the first character, remember, the index is 0. So how the indexing is done? So indexing will start from 0 always. Okay. So the index of the first character is 0. Then index is 1, 2, 3 in this way. So that you have to remember. So if you want to extract A, then what you have to do, that the variable name, and within third bracket, that means within this box bracket, you have to write the index. Okay. So which character you want to extract. So if you execute this set of lines, you see that it is extracting A from this set. Clear? You just try this one. This is a very, very important thing. So you do it. Extracting characters from a string is very, very important. So suppose I want to extract the last character. I want to extract Y. I want to extract the last character. Then what should be my command? I want to extract the last character. So one of the way that you can count the index, and you see that what is the index of y, and you can write that string 4 of that index. That is one of the way. Okay. So suppose I want to extract that last character through its index, then what we can do, first of all, I have to know that how many total characters are present here. How many total, what is the total length of the string? Total length of the string means how many total characters are present. Length of the string means how many characters are present. So to know that, you need not to actually count. You can use this particular command, len, L-E-N, len. You see, L-E-N, len, this is the command that you have to use to get the length of the string, or to find out the number of characters in that string. So if I execute len, then you see that what is the total number of characters present. You can see that Aman is a good boy. In this particular sentence, there are total 18 characters. In this string, there are total 18 characters. Clear? Now tell me, if there are 18 characters, then what is the index of y?
Sir,
What-
-1.
What is the index of y?
17.
17.
17 or -1.
17. 17 is the index of the character y, because total length is 18, total 18 characters are there, and since the first index of the character is 0, that is why y will be 17. Clear? Okay, because it is not starting with 1, it is starting with 0. That is why it is 17. Okay, and there is another way you can also execute the last entry, last character, that is the string of size -1. Size means that means the length of string 4 -1. So need not to write that length of string 4. Simply if you write -1, it will also do the same thing. This -1 means it is implied that it will subtract from the length of the string. It will subtract from the length of the string. That means 18 -1 actually. Okay. So if you just execute this, you will see that it is extracting y. Okay.
স্যার লেনটার কাজ কি বললেন স্যার? লেন, এলিয়েনটা?
Len is the total number of characters present.
আচ্ছা, টোটাল নাম্বার অফ ক্যারেক্টারস প্রেজেন্ট। আর আমি যদি স্ট্রিং 4 মেরে যদি কোনো একটা পার্টিকুলার নাম্বার দিয়ে আমাকে ওই পার্টিকুলার ক্যারেক্টারটা
Now-
যেটা ওই নাম্বারের করেসপন্ডিং
yes.
আছে ওটা।
Okay. Now, if you want to convert a particular, now before that, this is very important. Here, string 4, I want to see the characters from 5 to 8. 5:8. 5:8. Can you tell me that what it will print? 5:8. How many characters it will print?
Sir, four characters.
The first thing is that it will print only 3 characters. So these are the certain things that you have to remember. Okay. The first thing that you have to remember, that the starting index is 0. This is the first thing that you have to remember. Starting index will be 0. Second thing, you have to remember that if we write 5:8, like here, 5:8, it will actually print 3 characters, and whose indexes are from 5 to less than 8. That means 5 to 7. Clear? 5, 6, and 7. These 3 indexes, these 5, 6, 7, these 3 indexes will be printed. Clear? Extraction of the 5, 6, 7. So last number means it is less than that, not less than equal to. Clear? So if I want to extract 3 characters, then the index of the corresponding characters you have to put in this way, like 5 to 8. Okay, so what is there in the 5 index? Here in the
Sir,
5 index, yes,
Sir, it is showing say is.
yes. So in index 5, what is there?
Space.
That is
Space.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Index 5 is I. Index 5 is I, right? Index I is what? Index 5 is what? Just
Just
start
space.
counting 0,
I.
1,
Yes.
2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 is
Oh,
Yes.
I-
so index 5 is I. Always start counting from 0 index. Start counting from 0 index. Okay?
স্যার যদি এ যদি 0 হয় তাহলে তো স্যার S5 হচ্ছে।
কি বলছো?
না এস কি বলে 5 টা হচ্ছে আই হচ্ছে 6s হচ্ছে।
আস্তে 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 0 থেকে কাউন্ট করো, ইউ উইল গেট দি ফিফথ ওয়ান ইজ দ্য আই, রাইট? আমার মনে হয় এটা নিয়ে কনফিউশন থাকা উচিত নয়। ওকে, নেক্সট 5:8. Colon 8 means actually less than 8. Less than 8 means what? Which is the integer less than 8? That is 7. That means it will print 5, 6, 7. That means I, S and a space. Clear? I, S and a space. It would be better if you just change this one by say I, S, X. Now let us execute this one again. And now if you print this, you see that it is executing ISX. You write another thing, say H, execute it again, and now execute it. You see that it is showing ISX. Clear? So 8 is excluded. Okay, 8 is not included. That is important thing that you have to remember. Okay? Okay. So next, suppose you want to convert everything in capital letters. Everything in capital letters, what you have to do? Then you just convert it into the uppercase by writing string4.upper, this particular method, and for the lower, you just call this method st4.lower. Okay, so upper and lower, these are the two methods that you can call, and it will convert the strings into completely upper or lower. So let us do it here. You see that all the characters are now in uppercase. Okay, similarly you can do for the lowercase also. Now if you want to replace a particular word in the string, a particular portion of the string, that you can replace in this way. Like you see, you can use this method replace, that string4.replace. This is the command, string4.replace, and what you are doing, that you replace Aman by Ajay. If you replace Aman by Ajay, then you see that it will be replaced. If you simply execute it, you see it will be replaced. Aman will be replaced by Ajay. And it is very important how we are giving the code, that dot replace within parentheses, which one you want to replace and by which you want to replace. Okay, and there is a comma in between. Okay, so these are the things that you have to remember. How can we do this? Then you see that if you want to count that a particular word, how many times is there, how many times a particular word is there. Maybe there is a paragraph, whole bunch of paragraph, and in that paragraph you want to count how many times the is there. So within triple quote you put that paragraph and assign that to a variable, and then you just use this dot count method and you just write the, if you want to find out this the, then it will just give you how many times this the is there within that string. So here you can see in this particular sentence the is there twice. So if you just execute this one, you see that it is returned value 2. Okay, so similarly if you want to find the position of a particular word in a string, then you can use this method find. So string 5 is the name of the variable, then dot find, and you put that variable, put that particular word that you want to search, and then it will give you the index where this particular word is starting. So if you do that, you see that it's showing 4. That means the index where this B is there is 4. So if you start counting from T, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, and you see this index of B is 4. So that is why the ball is at the index 4. Okay, because ball starting with B and B is at the index 4, that is why it is showing 4. So in this way, we can find out its position of a particular word within a string. Now, if you want to split a string of how many, what are the different words there in a particular sentence, if you want to separate all these words like the, ball, in, on, all these, then you can use this split method. That means string 5 dot split, and you split by the space. Here you can see within inverted comma, I have given one space only. So based on this space, it will separate out the different strings. If you execute this, you see that whenever it will get a space, it will separate a particular element. So it will give you a list basically where you will get the different elements are nothing but the different splitted string based on this gap. That means the space.